Welcome to What's Happening at TCU. We are here this afternoon, very excited that you can join us. We're never sure what the best time is for families, but we thought we'd try a Sunday afternoon if you're being casual and enjoying your surroundings. The picture that you've been looking at, which is behind me, is what the Commons looks like in the daytime regularly now. You see students talking and eating, sitting under umbrellas, etc. They're far back. You can see some lights that at night are really beautiful, and there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights are the fire pits, and then there's a game area near the fountain. So there's the fun stuff, and you'll hear about that as well as many other things that are going on campus. Our students sometimes say, I can't meet anybody, nobody's going out, there's nothing going on. Well, we want you to be informed and know that there is plenty going on. So we want students to take advantage of all the opportunities, and as circumstances allow, as people continue hopefully to be safe and make good choices, we'll even have more opportunities for students. But there's still a lot of activity on campus, and we want to share that with you today. We have staff from housing, recreation, campus recreation, student activities, and student development services office to cover a myriad of subject areas for you. If you have questions, you can drop them in the Q&A. We'll answer as many as we can during this session, and then we'll follow up with emails if we're not able to get to the session. So we're going to start with Imani Wimberly, who is the Assistant Director of Housing and Residence Life. Imani?
Hello, everyone. I've got the frog fountain behind me here, so you don't see the chaos that is happening in my background. As Kay said, my name is Imani Wimberly. I serve as one of the Assistant Directors of Housing and Residence Life at TCU. So I wanted to talk very briefly about some of the in-person programming that we're having, as well as some of the necessary steps in order for your students to attend said programming. So we very quickly took a survey and account of some of the in-person programs that we're doing amongst all of our halls across campus. So if you are not aware, we have 14 residence halls across campus that house all levels, mostly first and second years due to our 2-year live-on requirement. And we saw that the in-person programming that we have is a little bit over 280 in-person programs since the start of school. So we are definitely hearing a lot of times that there are a lot of people saying that they're not aware of things that are happening within their halls or things across campus in person. So what we have started to see our hall directors do is send weekly or sometimes monthly newsletters or things of that sort that will have some of that in-person programming or other opportunities for them to get involved on campus. So that is something that we are starting to do to make sure that people are not relying on just looking at different pieces of paper that we are posting. We know that flyers can be successful, but there's a certain point in which our students stop actually reading them and it just becomes background for them. So we're trying to find other ways. We are doing things through our social media accounts. So all of our halls have like Instagram accounts. Some might have Facebooks. So we are starting to post things through there as well. We are also just trying to make sure that we are sending emails whenever we can. So as I mentioned, some halls do send out newsletters and things of that sort, but whatever opportunity we can, we're trying to make sure that students are aware that we're trying to get them involved. We are also doing some virtual programming for students that don't necessarily feel comfortable being in person. But as we do in-person programming, then we are adhering to CDC guidelines, which is 6 feet, wearing a mask at all times. So we will space out those areas. We have maximum capacities for our lounges and study rooms, so we will not go over that based on the guidelines that are set for safety. So those are the things that we're seeing. I know that Kay also sent me a couple questions that people are asking that aren't necessarily tied to in-person programming. So I do very quickly want to hit those as well. And I know that there will be an opportunity for some Q&A at the end of this. But one question that was asked is for our students who decided not to come and live on campus in the fall, is there an opportunity for them to live on campus in the spring? Yes, so we actually just opened up the spring 21 housing application. So students can go on their My TCU housing portal and start to sign up for that. If our main housing office has not emailed everyone yet, then the plan is to email the students who are not currently with us on campus to allow them to go ahead and put in applications as well. And we will try and fill as many of those as we possibly can. There was another question on students who are going home for the break and what they should do in order to do that, but they do plan on coming back to their space in the spring. They will just be able to go ahead and just leave. They won't need to check out with an RA or anything like that. So whatever day they decide to set to leave, they can go ahead and leave. And then once they get back, they won't have to check in with anyone. We are asking that if there are any students who will be staying with us over the break, that they fill out a winter break housing form that we are currently working on. So that'll be coming out this week, and we'll send that out to all students just so we know who's in our buildings. We can make sure that we have appropriate amenities and food and things of that sort, so that we don't believe that we have one number of people on campus and there's a much larger number, or vice versa, so that we can give those resources and that purple carpet that we're really used to. So those were just a couple of the questions, a few of the things that I wanted to briefly talk about. Again, we have in-person programming happening all over our residence hall. So we're averaging about 20 in-person programs a week across all of our halls based on the start of the school year. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary Ellen to talk a little bit about what is happening in our recreation center.
Okay, hi, thanks, Amani. In campus recreation, we also are very, very busy. We have a lot of in-person programming going on, not only just that the recreation center itself is open from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m., obviously with limited capacity due to physical distancing needs and so on. But with a lot of guidelines in place, but people are here, they are getting the chance to work out. And we do close periodically 3 times throughout the day to do an extensive cleaning, to turn the rec center over to the next group to make sure that things have been cleaned and sanitized. And we are doing that all the time while we are open as well. But just to get into some of the in-person programming, one of the programs specifically that reports to my position, Associate Director of Programs in Campus Recreation, is the Sport Club program. We have 25 sport clubs, all of whom were tasked with finding ways to stay active, but within guidelines. And so one of the things that I did over the course of this summer was work with all of those student leaders to not only set up general COVID guidelines for the club program as a whole, but because each of our clubs is unique in the sport that they participate in, and some of those require fewer guidelines than others, each set of student leaders for each club had the opportunity to look at what they would do and what they could enforce in addition to what we were requiring for their club to remain active. And so all 25 of our clubs are active, are practicing on campus or off campus. Some of them have actually had the ability to compete. We have a club golf team, and they actually were able to compete in a couple of tournaments because that's a physically distant sport. Others have a few more challenges, some of our team sports, but they are all active. And we have about 500 to 600 participants in that program in our 25 clubs. In addition, we have intramural sports programming, which we have been one of the few universities to be able to offer that, or to want to offer that in person, obviously again within guidelines, and have seen some record numbers in some of our programs that we've been offering. We had more sand volleyball teams enter our sand volleyball league this year than we have ever had. So we were very aware of the need for people to be outside, to be active. And our next sport that's coming up with that is flag football, but in addition, we have had volleyball, we've had indoor soccer. If it's an indoor sport, we are following all guidelines with the rec center and wearing masks and sanitizing equipment and being very, very safe with that. And we also have had some virtual intramural events. Some of our leagues that are online, some of our video game tournaments have been super popular as well. We have had group fitness classes active. We do not, for capacity reasons, have as many classes as we have had in the past, but we have about 20 group fitness classes, everything from sunrise yoga in the commons, which was and has been super popular. We've had to move it indoors a little bit because the sun doesn't come up at 6 a.m. anymore. But that was a super popular program. We have had some of our cycling, we've had other yoga classes, we have some high intensity classes, but all of which are physically distanced and capacity limited so that we can maintain sanitation of equipment and so on. In any class that is like our boot camp class, each participant has their own set of equipment, so they're not sharing. So we're being very, very conscious of what it means to be safe in this pandemic, but also to be physically active. We, in the outdoor trips and outdoor program area, have had record numbers of individuals register for our programs. People want to be active and want to be outside, and we want to provide that. So we've had canoeing trips, we've had kayaking trips, we've had stand-up paddle boarding. We went to the zoo and did a personal tour of the zoo. We're just trying to find any way we can to get people outside and outside safely. The one COVID guideline for that's a little bit different for us is that we are not allowed to transport individuals to the site, which we would have done previously, but so they're driving their own personal cars or finding a way to get there themselves. But we wanted to make sure that we didn't have any issues with people being in a van together without being physically distanced. And so that's limited the distance that we can go, but not the activities that we can do. And so we've been very aware of the need for people mentally, physically, and socially just to be healthy and get together. And so our outdoor program activities have really, every one of our trips has been full, and every one of our trips wait lists have been full. And so we are planning for spring a similar thing, but with as more trips so that we can get more people outside and active. We, again, had, for example, today we have a rock climbing trip that is going on even as we speak, or they may have just finished, which was full with 19 people and had 19 people on a wait list. So people are hungry to have physical activity because it helps them both socially, mentally, emotionally, and we're here to provide that. And so I know there was one question to address about being able to get into the rec center because we really have had to limit capacity in order to physically distance safely. And there has been some frustration and confusion about the reservation system that we're using. And, you know, it's not a perfect system, but it's the one that our software allows us to do. We did start out the semester opening August 3rd and had people register that and then not show up. So we have been actively emailing every single person. They get 2 times to be a no-show in our rec center, and then they are not allowed to reserve a spot for a minimum of 2 weeks if they don't show up for 2 of their sessions. And so that's opened up some spots. And obviously our least popular times of the 6 to 9 a.m. and the 8 to 11 p.m. Have had the ability to have people actually walk up and have open spots. It's those midday times. And we are every week assessing that, and hopefully we'll be able to deal with some of those issues in the future. But for now, just to make sure that we don't hit more than we can handle in terms of capacity, we will continue to be able to use that reservation system through the fall semester, and then we'll reassess when we come to spring. And so I'm going to now turn it over to Kelly Lee to talk to you a little bit about student activities.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kelly Lee and I work in student activities. I'm the coordinator. Within our office, we house SGA, the End, and the Crew. We also are one of the entities that kind of program and coordinate the beautiful picture that is in Kay's background, the community commons. So our office is really trying to develop some things that are in person, and that kind of started with our student orgs. So the END and the crew and SGA have started to turn all of our meetings into hybrid meetings. So we have opportunities for students to join virtually, but also join in person, because we know that our members love to interact. For all of our orgs, we use Engage as our sign up platform. So please look into TCU and have your students to look into TCU Engage and really get in and see those organizations and those that are meeting in person. We are also working on a whole schedule for the community commons. And so for us in that space, we wanted to create something where students had an opportunity to go and hang out, but also do it safely. So the way we place chairs, the spacing that we do, it's intended to have social distancing within our students and to not have huge groups. At the same time, we also wanted to have something that's comfortable for students who wanted to study or go to take their classes outdoors. It's just been a really cool space that we've been able to develop. And with that, we also have kind of themed days. So Tuesday nights are always Tuesday tunes. So we bring student musicians that want to perform. We give them that platform. And for about 2 hours, we have student talent that come out and perform on Tuesday nights. The crew, one of our student orgs, is actually programming this week. They're doing on the 21st, they're doing pumpkin painting. And on the 22nd, we will actually have a small fall carnival that will be socially distanced, but also an opportunity for students to come out and interact together. Friday nights are actually hosted by the END, and we do movie nights. So the last couple movies that we've been doing, we showed Ferris Bueller's Day Off, we did Grease, and this past weekend we showed Mamma Mia, and our students have just loved it. We have the fire pits going, everybody sits out there. The last two movies have been musicals, so people have been singing and dancing all around the space. And so we're really trying to create some of those interactive activities, and that will actually continue until the community commons is taken out right before finals. And then we are also doing the crew, or one of our organizations, the END, is actually planning to do a Halloween maze for our students. It will be mask required, and we'll social keep groups to small numbers, but we are doing a maze to kind of give them some kind of type of normalcy and something to interact with. We've also been working on Saturdays for students, whether they can go to the game in person or not. We always have a game day event in the commons for students to come and watch the game. We have a huge screen out in the community commons now, and so we host any of the away games. We host watch events, and any away or home games. We still show the game in case your student doesn't get a ticket into the actual game. Our schedule is continuously changing within that space. So if you want, send your students, yourselves can also check it out, studentactivities.tcu.edu. We have a community commons tab, and you can click on there and it has the whole entire schedule. And then we're also taking, with all of the things that we're trying to do in person, we are also taking health precautions. So we're wiping things down. We have a couple days a week that a company comes in and sanitizes our furniture. We reorganize our furniture every morning. We go around and clean things. So we are still like very aware that we're in a pandemic, and we're trying to keep things clean, but at the same time, make sure that we have places for our students to connect and really get to enjoy and meet each other, especially when you only get to see them on Zoom. So it's been really cool to get that opportunity to watch them and do that. A couple of the other things that I was told that was the questions is asking about tree lighting. Unfortunately, I am the sad one to have to tell you that we are not having a tree lighting this year. This is one of our favorite events, and unfortunately, because the students will not be here, we will not have tree lighting this year. But in replace of that, we have been working with our student orgs in creating a holiday themed event for the Friday, November 13th, I believe. And it'll be kind of like a celebration of all holidays that are coming up right before they leave. And then we've also been partnering with Housing and Residence Life to plan a last day of classes event on the 17th of November. And that will also be like a transition of the holidays and really trying to bring that holiday spirit to campus before everybody leaves, because it's everybody's favorite event, and we really are sad to not have it this year. But we are continuously working with student orgs and with different departments on campus to really create a community space so that your students have a place to go, and a place to interact and meet some of those students that they only see on Zoom. I think that is all for me. I am now passing it on to Stefan from Student Development Services.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Well, like you said, my name is Stefan Althied. I'm an assistant director with Student Development Services. I specifically work on the transition side of our unit. And so I'm going to be talking about first year experience, transfer student experience, our sophomore and junior year experience, of course, our senior year experience, and then some student success programs as well. SDS, Student Development Services, we have a lot going on. So I hope you guys are ready for some good information. So starting with our first year experience, they are doing a life skills series, and coming up for the next series is going to be the student leader info session. This is great for all students if they're wanting to get involved in different student leadership positions. So areas such as first year experience, UNLF, which is our university life, they will be a peer guide for that course. If they're interested in being a student leader for housing and residence life or fraternity and sorority life, as well as the leadership center, community engagement, or even the rec and wellness promotion, lots of areas for them to get involved and plugged in. And as a student leader, that's a great way for them to meet other coworkers, other students, and learn another great area of campus, but also develop those leadership skills, which are very important in this college experience. So that's something really exciting happening with our first year experience. Kind of moving on to the transfer year experience. What's really exciting right now is tomorrow kicks off Transfer Student Week. And so they've got lots going on for our transfer students. So if you are a parent of a transfer student, let them know there's going to be great programs going on this week. We've got a student meet and greet happening on Tuesday in the Transfer Connection space over at the Grand Mark Apartment Complex. This is in person. There's an opportunity for them to connect with current transfer student leaders and other transfer students. Obviously, all socially distanced with masks, following all capacities and guidelines as needed. We're also be doing a transfer trivia night Wednesday evening. So that's an opportunity again for them to gather virtually and just have some fun with some fun trivia, meet other transfer students and just connect there. And then there will be a resume workshop specifically geared towards transfer students that we've partnered with our Career and Professional Development Center to put on as well, to help those transfer students who might be closer to that step of an internship kind of get their things together and get the resume ready for that experience. Next up, in the world of sophomores and juniors and student success, we have a lot going on there as well. They're doing a workshop series for student success, and these are in person or online. That's what's great about these. And really, it's just tackling a bunch of topics to help students be successful outside the classroom. They have done previous ones this semester, and all those recordings are online for your students to see, but they can also attend these upcoming ones in person as well. The topics remaining are research skills, how to avoid procrastination, and surviving finals. So again, that's a great opportunity for your students to get together with their friends and go learn about skills that can help them outside and inside the classroom as well. There's also student success coaching. This is a great tool that we have available for our students. They get to meet with a success coach, which is a staff member here at TCU. And they really just put together goals and action plans to really help students establish and create the experience they want here at TCU. So this is a great opportunity for them to create and establish a relationship with a professional staff member here on campus and really help them get them connected with resources and other students to help them make sure that they're having that TCU experience that they want. And then they also have involvement interns. So if your students are looking for ways for intentional and great opportunities to get involved here on campus, they can meet with an involvement intern and again, put together an action plan and seek out those opportunities that are available to them that match up with their passions and match up with what they're interested in to really help them really just experience what is here at TCU for them. So we're very excited about that involvement intern opportunity as well. And then lastly, kind of moving over to our senior year experience, there's a graduate school panel happening this week on October 21st. So if your senior or junior or senior is really interested in looking at grad school, this panel will feature grad school admission experts. You can kind of tell them the tips and tricks and best practices to really put that application forward and make sure it's the best that it can be and give them the best chance of getting into the grad school program of their choice. They're also doing an Adulting 101 cooking session that's happening in November. So you can, there's featuring a TCU alumni who's going to be featuring how to make quick and simple meals just using kind of pantry basics. And so that will be virtual as well. But again, a great fun time to get together with their friends, get on Zoom and really learn how to cook some fun meals and interact with the TCU alumni, which is great. And then lastly, with our senior year experience, there will be a bucket list program put together for all of our 2020 seniors who are graduating this year. So again, making sure they're making the most of their TCU experience before they move on to that next step of life, whatever it is. We want to make sure that they're really enjoying TCU while they're here and getting the most out of it. So again, I know that was a lot of information from the transition side of things. We have a lot going on in SDS. I'm going to pass on over to Tyler, who is in our Leadership Center in SDS, and he'll take it away from there.
Thanks, Stefan. Yeah, my name is Tyler Fisher, and I'm the director of the Leadership Center here at TCU, which is housed within Student Development Services. We really strive to educate, engage, and empower students in their leadership journey during college. And that's been a little bit trickier this semester. It's been a little bit trickier to navigate the protocols and things before us, but obviously those are a necessity, and we need to make sure that we're complying with those. I'm going to touch on just a few programs and opportunities for those students to get involved with us, and definitely encourage any and all questions during the panel time afterwards. So the first and potentially easiest one that students can still get involved in, specifically first-year students, is our Connections program. So Connections has transitioned a little bit from what it used to be, and now it's looking for a cohort-based program of approximately 60 students who will be selected for the program and go into it to understand leadership, teamwork, working together to accomplish tasks and projects. They'll do this in a combination of the large group as well as in small groups. Those small groups will be led by upperclassmen mentors who can kind of help connect them to resources, knowledge, information within the program, but also in the bigger realm to all of TCU. So we want to make sure that relationships are a priority in any leadership development opportunity, and Connections and how that applies this year is even more of a focal point. So the application phase is still open through the last Friday of this month, and then we'll have 1 or 2 events this semester depending on timing with finals, and then really get into the mix of that primarily in the spring with our planning and implementation phase. Another program to keep on your radar is our Lead Now program, and NOW is an acronym that stands for Network of Women. Within that program, we're going to be onboarding new students in the spring and looking to do some in-person onboarding in physically distanced areas. But also right now, there is a lot of active programming going on and the ability to connect with these student leaders in a virtual capacity. From those virtual capacities, there's always the opportunity to set up one-on-one or more small group in-person programming that's a little less formal, all right? Additionally, our Leadership Scholars Program is something that we're actively doing right now. We have 2 seminars left on the fall. Those are both virtual, but we are looking to expand that and make as many of those as possible in person in the spring as we have more space available on campus, and some of those restrictions may be adjusted. One of the most exciting and upcoming things that we're going to do is we're going to start having leadership chats in the Commons. On a weekly basis, we're going to be working to have a booth or a table set up in our community commons area with an on-campus leader, whether that's a student, a faculty, or a staff member. We want to make sure that students have the ability to come and just ask general Q&A or just really talk shop about leadership and all the important components that go along with that. We're hoping that this informal come and go mentality is a way that can connect students to each other, as well as topics that are of interest for them, right? We all know that everyone wants to navigate their leadership journey a little differently. And so that combination of students, staff, and faculty being available to talk leadership, to talk life, to talk how those are infused together is going to be really critical. And especially as we see the weather kind of change and become a little bit nicer over the course of the next month, we want to get out and be active in that space, so that during the course of an afternoon, we can have several great conversations with our students. Additionally, we always offer up the opportunity for students to reach out to the Leadership Center at our email at leadership@tcu.edu and ask us any and all questions. If you want to just come in and meet with us one-on-one, if you want to chat virtually, whatever the case may be, we're happy to have those conversations and meetings with you and help walk with you towards figuring out where is your leadership journey currently at, where do you want it to go, and how can we help you plan all the steps along the way? And so that's not just the transactional process of doing that, but that's allowing them to create a relationship and a rapport with us. And we feel like if we're doing that and creating relationships with our students, they're better able to create relationships with their peers. And that kind of trickle-down effect will pay dividends during their time in undergrad as well as beyond. we are constantly excited for our students and constantly challenged by how we continue to meet those leadership needs. But we know that we have a staff that is really well prepared to do that and really excited to do that, especially with the help of our upperclassmen students who want to make sure that this next wave of Horned Frogs have great experiences and great opportunities on campus. So it is a holistic effort by our staff as well as students, and we look forward to continuing that process. And I'm going to turn it over to Dee Dee Williams-Van to talk a little bit more about that within our student organizations.
Thanks, Tyler. So as Tyler mentioned, I'm Dee Dee Williams-Van, and I'm the Director of Student Organizations Learning and Development here at TCU. And I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. All right. So as we all know, our student organizations are a place where our students can connect with others in terms of their passions, their hobbies, their interests, their majors, the career field that they want to go into. But they're also a great opportunity for self and identity exploration. And it's an awesome opportunity for them to have leadership development as well. And within student organizations this whole academic year, our theme is actually building community. And so that's what our student organization leaders have really been tasked and challenged to do this semester in a very different way. When they might have student org members who are joining from Vietnam or from Montana or from another location. And so it's been a really interesting opportunity for our student org leaders to think about how do they build community. So at TCU, we have approximately 300 student organizations. And within those 300 student organizations, I have a list here of the breakdown of the 11 different categories. So as you can see, we have academic and honor societies, activism and social justice groups, fraternity and sorority life, government, politics and military, graduate student organizations, multicultural organizations, those for performance and visual arts, religious and spiritual organizations, service and philanthropy, special interest, and as Mary Ellen mentioned earlier, sport clubs. So we have quite a few opportunities on campus for students to get involved. And if there isn't already an organization on campus that they're interested in, I promise you they can have the opportunity to make an organization as well. We are actually just wrapping up that process for this semester. So a little bit more, TCU Engage, I know Kelly mentioned it earlier, it is our online involvement platform. So every single one of our student organizations receives a page, and they're able to manage that page, advertise their events, their rosters. And so earlier this weekend, I just pulled up our TCU Engage, and from today through this next Friday, there's 64 different events that are happening through our student organizations. And those are going to be a mix of in-person and virtual events. So you can see 3 of them as an example right here. One is the Supply Chain Club, and they're bringing in a speaker. One is one of our religious and spiritual life groups. They're going to have a small group. And then we also have a special interest group, a crafting and knitting club, where they get together and craft. So we have a variety of different opportunities. And so where your students would find this is they would go to go to TCU Engage, and they don't even have to log in. They can actually just hit events, and all events will show up in chronological order. They're coming up, and they can click on one that they're interested in, and they can find out, do I need to be a member of this org, or do I need to, can I just show up and to kind of try it out and see if it's an option for me. And also, in addition to organizations, we have about 60 or 70 pages that are programs, departments, and classes on campus. And so this is kind of, if your students aren't on TCU Engage and actively engaging there, that's something that they're probably missing out on right now, because there's a lot of opportunities. And actually, some of the departments that have already presented to you have Engage pages too. And this is going to be the way that your students will find out about what's going on campus. So going back to it, we do have in-person events as well as virtual events. At the first of the semester, we did provide a guideline document to our student org leaders about how to have in-person events safely. And some of them have chosen to do that, and some of them have chosen just to have virtual events. But in addition, my office has had sessions with our student org leaders about how to have creative programming, how to engage their members. And so they truly are working on building a community. And so I'm hoping your students are a part of that community. But I wanted to provide just a quick update really quickly of ways for your students to connect. So TCU Engage, they can either log in or just find events on the homepage, or they can log in and then search by org. They can go to the student org's website. We also had an organizations fair where about 160 of our orgs were featured in August. And we plan to have another org fair in January when all of our students return in the spring. And we also have an involvement survey. So if your student is kind of wondering, what should I get involved in at TCU? That's a great opportunity for them to decipher what is it that I want to do and what do I want my legacy to be at TCU within organizations. We also asked all of our organizations to make short video clips to talk about their mission, their vision, what types of activities they do, as well as our student org leaders provided testimonials. So I would really encourage you to talk to your students about how to get involved in organizations, because it's a great opportunity to add to the academic experience, because it is social. It does provide opportunities for our students to connect in a meaningful way. And so I'm happy to do one-on-ones with your students if they're interested in finding a particular organization or just kind of curious about what's at TCU. So I am going to turn it over to Erin Wilson.
Hi, thank you so much, Dee Dee. Well, my name is Erin Wilson, and I am the head of the Community Engagement Department here at TCU, where my job and my department's job is to make sure that TCU students have opportunities for meaningful service. Our mantra this year has really been make a difference, even if it's from a distance. And we've taken that as far as we possibly can. And I've been so proud of TCU students. They have really risen to this challenge. So far this semester, TCU students have done over 4,000 hours of service at this point. They've completed that. And that's an economic impact on Fort Worth of over $100,000, according to what the value of a volunteer dollar is, according to Independent Sector. Additionally, by the end of the semester, about 500 students will also be participating in our yearly event, TCU Day of Service, which we have annually. It's been modified to make sure that we keep students, their safety in mind, but there are in-person options as well as virtual for folks who want to do that. Additionally, I've been so proud of TCU students as we celebrated a really fun opportunity for service this semester by beating Baylor and Texas Tech in our Hunger Action Rice Challenge, which allowed us, that resulted in about 1.1 million grains of rice being donated to World Hunger Program. So I'm really excited about that, especially since this coming up semester, it won't be any different. TCU students really have a heart for service and really want to use their time and talents to make the world around them a better place. And so our office is really committed to making sure they have options to do that meaningful service. Some of the ways that they'll do that is in the spring, we have traditionally hosted a reading festival for local Fort Worth kids, K through 3, and that will be no different this semester. We'll make sure that there are in-person options as well as virtual for people who need them. Just like this semester, students have had the opportunity and will again have the opportunity to serve as reading partners for local elementary kids, mentors for 4th graders looking for leadership opportunities, mentors for folks who are looking for ESL conversation partners, as well as helping community members complete their GEDs. We will also continue to help our community meet their needs. One of the projects that we've also taken on this semester in order to make sure that we're helping to do that and that TCU students are learning to be good neighbors right now is through our TCU Take Home Service project. With that, we have had both in-person options and virtual options for students to pick up their supplies, either work together with us, or if they felt more comfortable in their rooms or wherever else with people, in order to make sure that we were taking care of stuff that nonprofits needed. They gave us supply, they gave us things that they needed, and we were putting those together. A perfect example is the over 1,000 cat toys that were given to the Humane Society that were made by TCU students. They give about 70 of those out a week, and so that is a huge need, and we're really proud to help them fill those. As community partners continue to get more comfortable, TCU students will continue to go more to more and more sites like we've done before, but we want to make sure that we're doing that safely. Okay, the best way for students to get connected with service is exactly like several people earlier today have said: engage. My department has a site on it's community engagement, and it's on Engage. If you're looking for that website, I think Dee Dee had it, but just in case, it's engage.tcu.edu, and your student can go there and not just find all of our events by joining the page, but also, like Dee Dee said, several events that are going on every day throughout campus that have in-person options. That's it. If I can be helpful, please don't hesitate to let me know. Again, my name is Erin Wilson. My email address is erin.wilson@tcu.edu. I'm super happy to be able to be a part of each student that comes and does service, each part of their experience. And that's it. Thank you, and go Frogs.
Wow. I have heard so much in the last 30 minutes. I feel like every student should be moving at 50 miles an hour right now in order to take advantage of many of these opportunities. There were some questions specifically related to several of these areas. Let me start there. The first one, Mary Ellen, there were two questions. The first one was, how are students notified when they sign up for events that, or sign up for a time to be in the rec center, that they are good to go?
If you sign up and register, and they have to register for facility access on what we call our portal, which is mycampusrec.tcu.edu, and it's on our website, you receive an email confirmation that says that you have been registered. And so when you show up to the rec center, there's a check-in desk, and we have a list of all, and actually have pictures. We have everyone who's registered for that time block. If for any reason we don't find you on there, but you have an email confirmation, then you will be allowed in during that rec block as well. So you do get an email confirmation as soon as you, it's like purchasing facility access, but at no charge. And so you get a receipt just like you would if you bought something online.
Thank you. There's another question for you, Mary Ellen, regarding a student being a free agent in intramural sports and how they go about doing that.
Okay. So a free agent is someone who maybe you want to play intramural flag football, but you don't have a team already, and you don't know enough people to put a team together and pay for a team to play. So you can come in, or you can contact the assistant director of intramural sports and sign up for what we call our free agent program. And that just means I don't know anybody, but what we do is then either try to connect you. We have teams that will come in and email and say, we have 9 players, but we really need 2 more to make our team complete. And so we will give them names and information for those who are free agents. But ultimately, what usually happens is that we get enough free agents that those free agents form their own team, because we'll get 10 or 12, say for basketball, free agents. And so we connect them with each other, and they become a free agent team. And I know that a lot of times it's individuals, maybe freshmen, who think that they don't know enough people yet to be on a team. But because all of our freshmen, sophomores live on campus, we also have a way for them to connect through their residence hall. Every one of our residence halls usually puts together at least one or two teams, sometimes through their RAs, through their hall directors, and we have a residence hall only league they can play in. But if you're a freshman or sophomore, or specifically a freshman, the easiest way to get connected is through your residence hall. And the hall directors and the RAs are really good at working with freshmen to get them connected that way.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next question goes to Kelly. What is the crew and the end?
Well, I love describing these. So the end, okay, so let's start with the crew. Both organizations are actually our programming organizations at TCU. The crew is our weekday programming. So it's a group of students that meet on Monday nights at 8 o'clock. They have a virtual location right now, but I believe that they're transitioning right now into hybrid, to doing some in person and some people online based on how comfortable people are. But they do all of our events throughout the week. So anything that's done in the Commons, if prior to this semester, our like giant water slides, our obstacle courses, that was all done through the crew. This year, it's a little different. We are starting to bring some of those inflatable games. We just had a bull riding thing in the Commons this past week, but they've been doing take-home kits. So they're called crew kits, and it's arts and crafts and DIY things that the students can pick up their box and take to wherever they want in a different location, and they can decorate things, they can build things. It's all kind of been a little different this semester, but that's how they've accommodated to that. And then the end does all of our weekend programming. So Friday and Saturday nights. Currently right now we're doing movies in the Commons because we have that ability. But before, at the beginning of the semester, they were in charge of, they hosted Tiffany Haddish, they hosted Jason Derulo and AJR as music events. They're going to build the Halloween maze that'll happen on the 30th of October, as well as a smaller version of what we kind of want to create, a mini tree lighting at the end of, right before classes end. So that's kind of both organizations. They do they essentially do large scale events on campus. But both organizations take people in. There's no application process. We just ask that our students go on to Engage onto both sites and ask to join. And then one of our directors from either org will reach out and add them into our email or group meetings, depending on what the organization uses.
Thank you, Kelly. I have another question that I think would be yours. Historically, SGA has provided the shuttles from campus to the airports. Can you speak to that in terms of the upcoming Thanksgiving and winter breaks?
Yes. So unfortunately, TCU is not able to supply buses for travel this year, specifically because we cannot, as a university, do transportation in general. So no offices are able to transport, as Mary Ellen explained with her off-campus things. We can't transport them in a bus. Also, the amount of people that we would have to have in the bus, and then having to spread them out, it's not feasible this year, unfortunately. So we apologize.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stefan, I have a question for you. How do students register for a student success coach?
Awesome. So if you go to the Student Development Services website, which is just sds.tcu.edu, and there will be multiple tabs because, as you've heard, we've got lots going on within our area. But there is a tab that says Student Success. If you just click on that tab and you scroll to the bottom, there is a link where it says Student Success Coaching, and that will take you to the page. The URL is very long, otherwise I would tell it to you right now, but honestly, just going to sds.tcu.edu, and clicking on the Student Success tab is the easiest way to navigate to the page. And just a quick scroll, you'll see the link to sign up for the Success Coaching meeting.
And in that same part of the website, the recorded Wednesday night workshops on study skills, where can they find, specifically this questioner was about the procrastination workshop, but there may be some others that students are concerned about or their families would like them to hear.
Absolutely. So the procrastination one is coming up on October 28th, I believe. And so that one is actually coming up. They have not missed it yet, so make sure they put it in their planner if they're using one, and that would help them do that. But if you want to access the other recordings, those are actually on the sds.tcu.edu homepage. So just going to that link, sds.tcu.edu, scrolling down on the left, you will see a box that says Student Success Workshop Series Recordings. Clicking on that will take you to the page where you'll have access to the recordings as well as see the upcoming schedule for the other 3 events coming up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm looking now. We have had a number of questions that, well, I've got one here that's kind of general to everybody. I'll make a general statement and then certainly any of you feel free to speak to how you follow through. The question was about how we provide all the information we've shared to students. How would they know these things? I can speak generally. I know that in addition to sharing information in the halls, that RAs and hall directors and residential crew staff can answer questions. Frog Camp facilitators from August are still available to students. Orientation leaders are still available to students. What to do at TCU, and I'll let Kelly explain what to do at TCU and list other ways that you share your information.
Yes. So one way, and I think most of our events too that have been talked about today do appear at some point on what to do at TCU. So what to do at TCU is a platform on campus that we actually have a Instagram and a Twitter based on what your student likes to use. But we also have a website, whattodo.tcu.edu. And it actually houses all of the events happening on campus. And these are all specifically student orgs, academic affairs and student affairs events. So this is not like a public platform. It's more of a specifically to TCU students, and kind of gives all of the different activities that are happening, whether it's the housing application is open or if SDS is hosting a workshop, it's usually on there. Same with like religious and spiritual life. All the different entities of student affairs are all on there, as well as academic affairs. So anything from performances that Fine Arts is doing to if there is something with career development career development services that has to do with resumes or different departments on campus or academic departments on campus hosting a career job search day. That's all on what to do, and your students can tag that. We also send out an email every Monday to our students. Now, the thing with that is that a lot of those emails tend to sometimes go into the junk box. And so we do ask when students are like, we don't get your emails, to look in their junk mail and to just save that sender as a good sender and not a marketing one. And that way we also list out all the activities that are happening that week so students know what's happening on campus. So that's one way that student activities does that.
Kelly?
Honestly, it changes every week. I think every week it depends on what is like the maybe like the focus of that week. So if it's like a learning week for students and we have a whole bunch of things, it kind of changes.
Very good. Anybody else want to talk about how you share your information with students? Go, Erin.
I am happy to say, and I'm sure Dee Dee will jump on this too, but Engage is a fantastic way for students to find out things. Whenever students come to my office or do a Zoom meeting with me, or I catch them coming in to talk to Kay about the same thing, my first question is, have you gone to engage.tcu.edu? And the answer is usually, oh no, I went maybe once at the beginning of the semester. And so please, 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 when your student tells you, hey, I don't know what's going on campus, I don't know, tell them, have you been on Engage? That's what we're going to challenge you to ask your student. Also, email, especially right now, is incredibly important. We work really hard to try to get students in the habit. Once they leave us in those careers, we have to answer those emails, right? So we work to really get them to understand that a lot of the critical emails, a lot of the critical information that they'll get about all kind of things, especially now this semester and next semester, are very much through email. So we know it takes a lot, and we try not to over email students. We promise. They don't even give all of us the email links to do that, even though we'd like, but a really, really great way for students to figure out what's going on or how to connect with people or what events we have on campus are two main ways. And right now that's engage.tcu. It's also, I guess, three, right? Kelly's is a fantastic way. We put all of our programs and everyone makes a habit of doing that. And the last one is check those emails. If we were in a Zoom together, I would make you repeat it with me, but it's check those emails. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Dee Dee?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate the fact that TCU Engage is the place. Emails, I teach a freshman course, and I will say that we just talked about that the other day, that a lot of them are still checking their personal emails and not their TCU emails. So you might want to think about telling your students to have their TCU emails actually on their phone. So it's just a quick button to be able to check. And then in addition to that, a lot of time we have information on these things. Social media. Your students are on social media. So let them utilize this opportunity to use it in a good way. Not that it's being done in a bad way, but sometimes that crazy cat video may take hours upon end. Like for instance, with Student Development Services, our Instagram account is TCU_SDS. And I know every single one of our activities is featured on there. So TCU has Facebook pages, Instagram accounts. Have them check those as well.
Thank you. Stefan, there's a question about senior bucket list.
Yes, so more information will be coming on that soon. It will be on our SDS website as well. Again, under the Student Success tab, there is a link that says senior programming, and there will be more information about that coming soon. So if your senior is excited to start checking things off, just tell them to check back. Again, check their emails, our Instagram, as well as the SDS website.
So it will be emailed to seniors?
Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you. Aaron, could you tell the TCU Day of Service one more time? And how do people get involved?
I can, Kay. So I just answered that one. Thank you for asking that, Glenn. You're my star student today. But so TCU Day of Service this semester is October 31st. Students have probably already, like I said, got an email. I know for sure most of the first year students got emails about it. The spaces went super fast, but there are still a couple left. The way that they can find out about TCU Day of Service is on Engage. So they can go to TCU Day of Service. Once they get into Engage, they can literally search that. We make it super easy. Or if you have any questions beyond that, like I gave my email before, but it's aaron.wilson@tcu.edu, and I'm happy to answer any of those questions. Thank you. And again, shout out to Glenn, my star student today.
Thank you very much. There have been a number of questions that were not directly related to the topic of this presentation. So I will be following up to answer those. But let me say in general, there were questions about very future dated questions regarding how we will be responding to COVID, regarding graduation in both fall, spring, fall, spring, next fall, December. When are we going to do study abroad again? Those kinds of questions. A lot of the answers to those questions, we have to wait as an institution on the rest of the world. And so, for example, through a major part of the summer, as the United States was climbing in numbers, most of Europe was kind of holding their own at the bottom. They have now, in a very short period of time, have reached almost the numbers that we have. And so sometimes we won't let their residents come here and vice versa. When travel becomes available, we have to wait. There are some information sessions from the study abroad office, and they will be happy to talk with any student that wants to talk about their future plans and make sure that they can fit them into their 4 years. It may just not be as early as some people had hoped that they would be. Let me mention about class registration. Advising officially starts tomorrow, October 19th, and registration officially starts October 26th. Obviously, seniors will be closer to those two dates than juniors, sophomores, and first-year students. If your student is wanting to have a 2-hour conversation with their advisor, they waited too long. I'll just tell you that, because when a professor has advisees that say 20 or 30, or even in some cases 50 or 60, they are looking for shorter appointments, not for life planning. Those need to be done closer to the very beginning of the semester. So if your student wants to just be advised, take care of that responsibility, and then contact their professor right at the beginning of spring semester, January 19th or 20th, and say, I would like to schedule a time to talk about the rest of my life, or at least my next 4 years at TCU. That will be very helpful. The classes for spring semester and in between semesters are online now. They do identify in person, an alternating online only option, and it is at each class, it says what it is, and the faculty have been contributing that information to the registrar's office, and it is now posted. So, and I'll tell you, I've only done some cursory look-throughs. I will tell you there are more classes in person than in fall semester. Your student may end up with all online, don't call me. It's kind of how things fall out, but people have been wanting more, and there are more. And the alternating class, when you see that word, that means one class period students will be in person, the next one they'll be online. So that will still be some additional information. I'm going to wrap this now because it's a little past 6 o'clock. We don't want people to run out without the information they needed. I have the information to follow up with those of you whose individual questions we did not answer. I hope this was helpful and your students get excited again about all the opportunities that are available for them. We are there every day. The 7, 8 of us and many, many, many colleagues wanting to meet with students and help them find ways to help them become their best version of themselves. And co-curricular involvement is critical to that process. So please let us know how we can be helpful to your student now and in the future. Thank you for listening and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.